Shuffle Golf canceled, Arcade1up's Golden Tee again, and my first impressions of Unico's Nova Blast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of This Week, the show where we talk about what happened this week in home arcades, episode 140. Man, I'm tired. It's been a hell of a weekend, guys. So no, I didn't get a lot done this weekend because I was traveling all weekend. I was gone. I got the call. The secret mission, the special operation was in effect. Got the call Sunday night. Had to move. Nobody knew about it except the channel members. Channel members had a little bit of a sneak peek. I teased it. And then I sent out a little video just to my members, tell them, hey, I'm actually in Kansas City for the special operations, the secret mission. If you want to know more about that, hang out for the rest of the video. I'll tell you all about it. It was an awesome, it was a great experience, a lot of fun to get in on something kind of early before it ships. We'll talk more about it tonight, but I'm excited because I like what I saw for the most part. Okay, so before we get into all that, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope you had actually got some stuff done. Actually, I'll take that back. I did get some stuff done. So I got home. Landed today about 12:30, drove home very quickly because I knew I had to get the show together and get that out there. Then I had to mow the yard. We had to get, springtime here. Well, it's teasing, right? It's not quite springtime. It's like it comes out of spring. It's 70 and then it's like 43. It's all over the place. It's Cincinnati. What can you do? So we got the mowing done, got a little bit of fertilizer out there on the lawn, trying to get that green, kill some of the brown spots, bring them back to life. And so I got a few things done, so a couple things done. But yeah, it was a fast and furious weekend. But I'm excited to talk about with you. I'm also excited to talk about what am I drinking. So when you're moving real quick, you don't have time to sit back and enjoy a drink. But now that we are together for the Sunday night This Week show, drinking Jefferson's. Once again, we're back with the Jefferson's. Just a great go-to, affordable bourbon. If you haven't, if you're a fan of the show, you know I love it. If you haven't tried it, you should give it a shot if you feel so lucky. If you don't have anywhere to go, you want to sit back and relax, take it easy with the drink, with the bourbon. That's not a bad one. So everybody cheers on a fast and furious weekend. One more in the bag. Let's look forward to the next one. It's only 5 short days away. So unfortunately, I'm going to be back on the road again this week. This week, I got to go to Louisville for a day, San Antonio for about 3 or 4 days. We'll see if I can get out of there quickly. And then I want to get back Friday because I got some video editing to do. Then I should be in town for a week. And then the week of, let's see, it's April. Yeah, April 9th is when I am out of here. I'm going to go to Taiwan for close to 3 weeks. So that's going to be, barring some sort of late breaking announcement or change or, I don't know, all out war with China, that might prevent me from going. It would definitely prevent me from going. I'll be over there. I'm going to take the stuff. I'm going to take the equipment. We're going to try to live stream. It is about 12 hours ahead of where I am now. So to do it at night, Sunday night, your time, I'd have to be doing it at noon on Monday. So that's probably not going to work out. So we'll see what we have to do. Maybe I'll try something on Saturday. I have no idea. So that'll be interesting. I'll let you know more about that as I get closer to that trip and my final plan. So we talked about what I'm drinking. We talked about what I did this weekend. Let's talk about the other thing that happens every single week. In the show, we have a poll. There's a poll question every week. I got to ask you questions. You got to vote. It's an interaction thing. I love it. I know you do too. Here's the question. Based on one of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight, I pose this hypothetical scenario to you. I know we've talked about this over and over again in different formats and different ways, but I don't know that I've actually put it to you this way. And I thought this was the best way to kind of nail people down to what are you willing? I mean, $100 is $100, but what would it take for you to spend the $100 or save the $100, right? So here's the scenario. I'm painting this picture for you. Here it is. If Arcade1up made one of your top 10 arcade games, so your personal top 10, not your number one, not your favorite, but it's in your top 10, right? You really wanted it. Which version would you prefer to buy? Would you rather just spend $5.99 on a deluxe version, or because it's one of your top 10, would you spend an extra $100 and get the XL version? So, is there like a cutoff at 600, the max? You would never pay more than that. So you don't care what it is, right? So you'll just settle for a deluxe, or because it's in your top 10. And I think honestly, if Arcade1up did anything, the game is going to have to be in your top 10 before you're going to buy it. You're not just going to buy another regurgitated garbage cabinet, or you're not even going to buy just something because it's different. It's going to have to be in your top 10. So Top 10. One of your top 10 games. Are you gonna stop at the deluxe because $599 is already, that's $600? That's already too much. Or because it's one of your favorites, would you be willing, absolutely willing, to go ahead and spend $699 and get that XL? And we're not talking about sale prices and all that. I'm just trying to figure out theoretically where you would be at. Like if you're already at the $600 mark, is $100 more that big of a deal when it comes to your favorite game? Let me know. Everybody vote up there. Interesting results so far, 69 votes. Jump in there. Let your voices be heard, everybody. And I'm really, really curious about this. I want to know. That's a pretty specific scenario. I want to know where everybody falls in that. Another thing that's kind of off topic, but something that I'm really excited about. I don't get to the movies a lot. I used to go a lot. I used to go once, twice a week. There's just not really much out there that's, worth my time, worth my money to go out there and sit through, and take a chance on. I am skimpy. I was going to skip the new Ghostbusters movie. I'm not going to give it a shot. The last one, Afterlife, was okay. Not really. I'm more of a fan of the first two movies. The first one is just an absolute classic. I hated the one from the 2016, and Afterlife was just, for me, it was okay. So I'm going to skip that. And I did get tickets today for a movie that's coming out in May 4th. And it is episode 1, Star Wars episode 1. This May, all the movies are coming back out the theaters. So I'm definitely going to take the opportunity to watch all of them in the theaters. It's going to be awesome. I'm probably going to be alone in the theater. I don't know. I think these movies are probably going to be something that's going to get people motivated to come out and actually watch them in theater, because there's just nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. So I'm excited about that. So if you're a Star Wars fan, let me know in the comments section or in the chat if you plan on checking it out. I did check out Dune 2 and Godzilla Minus One. Those are the last two movies I've seen. Dune 2 was epic. It was such a big deal. My wife actually wanted to go see it. She saw the first one. She loved it. Second one was pretty awesome too. So we definitely check those out. But beyond those two movies, I haven't really gone and seen much. So the classics are going to get my money for sure. I'm a sucker for Star Wars. I'm also a sucker for saying hi to everybody in the chat. Well, at least most of you. We're going to do the top 10, the first 10 questions, the first 10 comments in the live chat. Everybody, thank you so much for being here and commenting early as always. I do appreciate it. And who took the number 1 spot? Now, I was a little bit late because I've, about the before mentioned trip coming back in. Damn, I need to get some sleep. I'm getting up at 3:30 every day for the past 3 or 4 days. So, but the first one at 138 is Sir Sega. You take the top spot. Good to see you, man. How you doing? Yo, Fox, I hope all is well. I bet you had a great time at Unico. I can't wait to hear all the details. P.S. Keep and relocate. Thank you so much for being here, man. And you're going to hear about it. Absolutely. Kevin, you are next. And you are also, you're second. You're coming in number 2. And you said, Fox, how dare you recline comfortably in your airplane seat while we refresh YouTube every 5 seconds so we can be first? Shame. For shame. You're right. I apologize. That was uncalled for. Coming in at number 3 is Show Gecko. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Almost as appreciative as I am of a super chat. This one comes to us from Kevin Clausen, and he's like, as he always does, he's going to slide in his own transition. But nothing is more shameful than this $5 super chat. Fox, use your MacGyver skills to help build Detroit love a shuffle golf. He would appreciate it. I believe so, but I just don't. I don't know. His heart is too damaged. I just don't know if he can be saved. Just like, unfortunately, you can't be saved from your trip to the pit.
Finish him. Melina wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
Thank you so much for being here, man. Coming in number 4 is Dan Z. What's going on, buddy? Hello. How are you? Good to see you, man. Coming in number 5 is Gotham City Arcade. What a battle. What's the rumor mill saying about track and field finally launching this year? Can you or anyone in the community give an update if the cab is coming in Evo 2024? I would vote no. Absolutely not. Now, do I know? Have I heard anything definitively from Arcade1up? I have not on that one. I just don't have any hope for that cabinet at all. I don't really have any hope for anything different. I don't have any hope for any XL cabinets. Arcade1up. Prove me wrong. The ball is in your court. I would absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being here, brother. As always, good to see you. Coming in at number 6 is Beach Native 78. How you doing? What's up, Foxy? Arctic Thunder looks so sick. Thank you. That was a lot of hard work, but it was also a lot of fun, too. I wish I could afford it. Again, do you do payment plans? It's the only way I can afford it, possibly. Possibly. I'll get you like a 19K Fox credit card. Thank you so much for being here, man. I really do appreciate you. Crazy old Maurice is coming in the number 7 spot. So much. So glad that you're here, man. I'll be watching tonight, but I'll be putting together my new custom entertainment center with mini fridge and electric fireplace with fire and ice. That's crazy. For the missus, just installed exhaust fans so the PS4 and Xbox stay cool. You got so much going on there. You got the fridge, which is exhausting heat from the condenser. You get the fireplace, which is fire. And then you get the PS4 and you get the Xbox. Everything's kicking off some heat. You may have to just open up the fridge and point that towards all the stuff making all the heat. That's awesome, man. That's a hell of an entertainment center. Please post that picture. That would be great. Coming in at number 8 is Game Broker 84. Good to see you, man. As always. Hi, Fox. Happy Sunday. Do you think New Wave Toys is really coming out with a Golden Tee, or do you think it is another 1/6 scale product? At this point, what if it's a 1/6 scale Golden Tee? That I might actually be interested in. I would probably give that a shot because I already got, an XL Golden Tee. If they came out with a full size Golden Tee, I just think I would laugh. I would just be so busy laughing. I couldn't even place my order because I wouldn't place my order because listen, I don't know if this, I'm laughing because as ridiculous as it sounds, this might actually happen. And I have less than zero interest in them making a full size Golden Tee cabinet. I'm just not that much of a fan of Golden Tee. What I have is fine. I've made a lot of videos about it. We've all worked together to overcome a lot of the issues, the screen being the biggest one. Big shout out to the Smile Bit for helping us out with that one. So I'm good, man. I'm fine. I don't need a super duper accurate representation of Golden Tee. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I like to see them maybe go back to something they've already done is Cubert. Cubert would be awesome. Cubert would be great. There's you got to kind of you got to check the pulse of the arcade fanatics out there and see what they really want. I don't think that pulse is going to register Golden Tee. Thank you so much for being here, man. Coming in the 9th spot is Frank D. Been drinking all weekend. So I'm probably going to take it easy tonight. Maybe Diet Pepsi or water. That's a good call, especially if you have to work tomorrow. And coming in the top 10 spot, thank you so much for being here. Carnby. Yeah, Carnby 15. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to your impressions of the Nova Blast. Have a great show. CM Fox. I am not CM Punk. I'm not, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. A lot of people in the chat. I wish I had time to say hi to everybody. Yes. Guilty as charged, Mike. Guilty as charged. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here. Just want to scan and just give a few shout outs. No, okay, we're good. All right. So what is that? Is it? Sorry, Hayden, I thought for some reason I you had the Domino's pizza icon as your YouTube tag. Okay, cool. So I didn't see Ghostbusters. I did not see Ghostbusters, and I'll see it when it comes out on streaming. I just I'm just not there, just not feeling it. Oh, I gotta say hi to this guy, Mike Hawkhurst. What's going on? I expect Golden Tee Deluxe to be released in the Father's Day shopping window that Arcade1up has targeted in the past. Expect to see the cab made official shortly after X-Men 97 ships. That makes some sense. Okay, so we talked about the poll question. Make sure you vote in the poll. We talked about what I'm drinking. We talked about what you're drinking. I said hi to some of you. Now let's go ahead and move on to the first topic. Shuffle golf canceled. What happened there? Man, that's shocking. Almost as shocking as shuffle golf itself. Nobody really saw that coming. And for the most part, I don't think it made a big wave, a big splash. But what did make big waves and big splashes with me is the thought of maybe, just maybe, ThinkUp getting back. Well, I mean, they were getting back into the man cave market, I guess. Not really home arcade, but this was definitely dipping their toes in the water. Are they going to maybe come up with something later on? This thing gets support. If it got support, right? Nobody's going to buy this shuffle golf, right? Well, it's not actually what happened. So, sadly, it is canceled, but if you look, it actually exceeded its goal. The goal was $25,000. You can see clearly $32,000, not too shabby. 148 backers. So there was some appetite for this, and they canceled it before it matured or before it ended. I it's kind of sad, but they did that, I'm sure, so they wouldn't have to fulfill all those orders, right? Why did they cancel? That's really frustrating. That's the sad part. And that's prompted some conversations. I know Detroit Love was excited about this. And I think a lot of people, obviously 148 of you, were excited about this in some way, shape, or form. And that always sucks when you don't get what you want, when you don't have the opportunity to buy the thing that you're jazzed about. Everybody likes different things, and that's the thing that I really hate about this. That kind of sucks. But it got me thinking. Like I said, it sparked some conversations with me and others. And one of those others was Justin, Console Kits. We were talking, obviously offline, and discussing reasons and possibilities why. And I thought it was odd that not only did they meet their goal, but they exceeded it. And they just they just canceled it. That was weird. So I was throwing out the financial, well, it can't be financial, right? Because they met their goal, right? So obviously that's not the case. Then he made a suggestion. Well, what if they didn't exceed it enough? I'm like, well, what's the point of a goal if you have to exceed it by leaps and bounds? But for reference, he said, well, why don't you go check out the, something else they did, the Infinity Game Table. How much did that we know that thing happened. What did they exceed their goal by? Well, their goal, you can see right here. I had to pull this up. It was still on the Kickstarter. Went back in the time machine, and the goal was $50,000. They exceeded that by over $1 million. Yeah. So there was a lot of excitement for this. And I think they slightly exceeded it. So maybe the threshold is way more than just your goal plus 5% or plus 10%, which once again, why have a goal if you have to exceed it by so much? But it was a valid point. So kudos to Justin for checking that out or mentioning that. It does make some sense. Maybe they just didn't exceed it by enough. And who knows how these things work out? I'm sure there are thresholds. I'm sure there are levels like, okay, well, if we miss our mark by whatever the percentage is, okay, that means that there was interest, but not enough or not in this form factor or whatever. So, we're not going to go to market. Or if we meet it, okay, then, okay, we've met the demand. Our speculation was correct. We assumed it was going to be this much demand, and that's exactly what it was. If we exceed it, okay, well then you would think they would just go right to production. So I don't really know what's going on there. So, but that is something worth considering for sure. Gotta consider it, but you also got to consider other things. One, I was hoping that maybe this was just a fishing expedition, but then you consider all the people that are disappointed. So I don't know that it really made a lot of sense. Fishing by what I'm trying to say is, hey, what if we just throw something out there and just see if it gets any attention? Let's just see how much attention it actually gets. Maybe they never even thought, maybe they didn't even want to bring this thing to market, and they thought $25,000, nobody's going to go for this. And wow, lo and behold, surprise, they did. So now let's go ahead and cancel this, and we'll come out with something else. That would be a calculated risk for sure, because now the second thing you come out with, why would anybody back it? Well, I backed the other thing, and I mean, you just canceled on me. So why would I do it? But then again, if they canceled before, you're disappointed, you're bummed because you didn't get the thing, but it's not like they took their money and didn't deliver. So once again, a calculated risk for sure. But there's also another thing you got to figure out. This has been mentioned in some of the comment sections. Like, what if this is something else? What if this product already existed? What if this is some kind of a copyright thing or maybe they were issued a cease and desist? What happened? Maybe because it got so much traction, not a crazy amount of traction, but because it actually met its goal, maybe there was something that happened. Now you would think that all the paperwork that you filled out before you go on Kickstarter would eliminate some of this, especially when you consider that a simple Google search brings up some pretty interesting things like this. Shuffle Games LLC has Shuffle Games. One of those Shuffle Games is Shuffle Golf, and they have a Shuffle Golf table. They have multiple tables. These are handmade. It is like I said, it's an LLC. The Shuffle Golf term, I'm not sure if that is trademarked, but it's definitely, it's exactly the same verbiage, and it's referencing not exactly the same thing. It's a little bit different, but you can see there it is. It exists already. So that's kind of, that's not good. That's not good. But that's probably all there is, right? Well, no, actually, if you go to Amazon, you can find another Shuffle Golf, and this is something a little bit different. Once again, I think they're using the term shuffle kind of loosely, but here we go. There's another product you can already buy for $60 on Amazon. This is not a table, it's some kind of a mat. I mean, it looks just like regular, like a putting green you would have in an office or a man cave or or a basement or something, but they're calling it shuffle golf. And I mean, this is shuffle golf. It's actually on the damn mat. So it's there. So there's, is that possibly what happened? Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely a probability. So it is sad because I was kind of hoping that this was really, I didn't really care about the item they were going to bring to market. I was more concerned about the potential of ThinkUp getting back into the home arcade market. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was excited about. Did anybody care besides the 148 people that backed it? Besides me? I think so. I think there's some people out there that are interested. You have to think about it. You have to consider such a close partner with Arcade1up, the inventor of the, how do you phrase it? How do you say it? Did they create it? Did they invent it? Were they part of a collaboration with Arcade1up to do this? But they were there at the beginning, creating these arcade cabinets, these recreations, these shark fin design, the infinity game table. They were there for that also. Stuff that's still making Arcade1up to this day. So that was very interesting because that always spoke to me about the imagination and creativity of what we've enjoyed for so many years now. I mean, what, 5 years at this point? 6 years? Yeah, 6 years. 2018 is when it all started. So that was more interesting to me. Are they out completely? Will they rebrand and come right back with the same thing, but with a different name or maybe shaped a little bit differently or something? I don't know. I hope so. I hope that they come back quickly with an explanation why they had to cancel the last Kickstarter, because that is kind of a, for those that actually backed it, that is a kick that didn't really start much. Moving on to our favorite arcade company, arcade recreation company of all time, the one that stumbles, the one that sparked imagination and sparked a hobby and then has done nothing but just quench that spark. Just dump water, not gasoline, water all over it. Taking the sparkler and just dump it in the mud and just extinguishing the fun, and by releasing the same thing over and over and over again. So the latest and greatest from Arcade1up doesn't come to us from Arcade1up's website. It doesn't come to us from one of our standard retailers that we look at all the time, the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Best Buys, none of that. No, we have Wayfair. Sketchy is one way to describe Wayfair and their history of, having cabinets and pricing. And that's also a very accurate way to describe Wayfair and their history. Sometimes when you buy items from Wayfair, children are included. It's great. Like they just help you put it together. It's weird. But that's not the case here. The case here is a very legit looking listing. Extremely legit looking. But by some of the images, you could kind of be fooled into thinking, well, that just looks exactly like the XL. That's kind of weird. It's just kind of maybe they just manipulated the image, But the 770 really makes you suspect. I posted this and I was like, hey, this is. They're claiming it's a deluxe. If you read the description, they say it's a 17-inch monitor. They've added the Arcade1up on the kick plate there, but the price is crazy. Then a couple days later, or the next day, I believe, we see that they've updated the listing, and now here we go with a $599 price tag, which I think is actually going to be the price of this cabinet at launch. So there we go, $599. Now, is it possible that somebody will have it cheaper? Anything's possible. I mean, we saw with the Capcom Deluxe being, coming right out with that $499 price tag, but then quickly dropping to $399 for pre-orders for everybody that's buying it initially, and then even seeing it drop as low as $299. It's so funny. That cabinet now, that Deluxe Capcom cabinet, if you go to Walmart right now and you put it in your cart, they take $50 off. So they don't show you the price until you put it in your cart. So even that cabinet, which is that the second newest Deluxe, I think, is now on sale again, just a couple months after Christmas. So it's kind of wacky, kind of crazy, but hey, it is what it is. And so here we go. We have damn near the same shape that we have with the XL. For those of you that missed out on this, it's got to be a mixed bag. It's like, okay, well, I wanted it and I'm glad it's here, but I wanted the full size. Or not the full size, but I wanted that XL form factor. I wanted that 19-inch monitor. Even though that monitor was crap, we know we can swap it out. I wanted that big XL to go on sale so I could afford the monitor swap out. Then we heard the stories, we heard the rumors, we heard the Michael B's of the YouTubes talking about how he actually thought what he had heard was the next XL was actually going to be Golden Tee, which is weird because that was like the second to last X. Well, no, I'm sorry, that was the first XL, but that was one of 3 XLs. Even if you count KI Pro as an XL, that's only 4 total cabinets. You're going to now rehash an XL with another XL? That seemed a little bit odd. So this comes out, and like I said, you got to be kind of beside yourself at the moment. You got to be standing here beside yourself because on one hand you want it, and here it is, but it is a deluxe. Now, if you are happy about the 3/4 scale size, a lot of people listen, facts are facts, right? The majority of Arcade1up cabinets are all deluxes, 3/4 scales. They have risers, so this would fit in there much better. And this looks way better than that second generation or third generation. I think it actually was a second gen original Golden Tee, which was the shark fin design. I think it had the bad monitor, and it only had like 5 games, no bowling, no shuffleboard, nothing. So it definitely looks better than that, right? And I dig the as far as 3/4 scale go, I am team no riser. So I like deluxe if you got to stick with 3/4. That's really all I have left, minus T2, which they haven't remade, and Turtles, the original, my first new Arcade1up. I had other ones before that I bought secondhand, but that was my first new one. Still got it right off camera right there. So those 2 risers are still in place, but beyond that, I'm kind of out of it. But you got this thing. It comes out. If you're all about the 3/4 life, there you go. But if you wanted the XL, you're very, very disappointed. And it does seem weird that, why wouldn't you just update the XL? Don't come out with a new XL. Don't call it the new XL. Just sell out the original stock and just do think about the Game Boy Advance SP, where it had the first Game Boy Advance SP had a dimmer screen. It was backlit, but I think it was edge lit. And then they came out with hey, this is still the Game Boy Advance SP, but it has a brighter screen. It was AGS 101 or AGS 100. No, it was AGS 001 and then it was AGS 101. Anyway, just say, hey, the Golden Tee XL now with a brighter screen. Just put the right monitor in it. Leave everything exactly the same, which is almost exactly what they did here. It's but they had to work harder at this. They had to redesign. They had to come up with a new design and take that and scale that down for the deluxe. It just, think about it. You're working too hard, guys. All you had to do was keep making that same cabinet. Just put a better monitor in it. That's really all you had to do. There are a couple things to consider, though. That bad monitor was bad. Nobody liked it. It was also 5.4. It was not 4.3. The new BOE monitors would, be 4.3. So there would be they'd have to do some work on the PCB. Maybe it's just a setting. There's probably nothing physical that has to be done, but they would have to go in and there would have to be some kind of change done to the video output of the PCB to output to that 4:3 aspect ratio. Because if you've ever experimented with this, I know firsthand, if you put the wrong aspect ratio monitor, if you mix and match the aspect ratios, PCBs and monitors, it may not display anything and you're going to think it's broken. So they'd have to go back to the well a little bit, do a little bit of reprogramming there, or maybe find a 5.4 monitor, 19-inch 5.4 that's a better monitor, and just keep that train rolling, right? You've already got it. It's done. It's an XL and you're done. I would think financially that would make more sense. So this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm sure that, like I said, once again, the 3/4 scale crowd, you're all happy and that's good. Happy for you. But to me, financially, if you're trying to save money, which 2024 is the year of pinching pennies, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. But there it is. It's basically exactly the same, just scaled down a little bit smaller. There are a couple little changes here, something to consider. These are the 2 different control panels. Obviously, on the right-hand side, you have the XL form factor, that wider monitor, that wider cabinet. And then you have on the left-hand side, that's the new deluxe control panel. And you see that little changes. We've lost a headphone jack, which I don't know. I'm of 2 minds at this. If you've got a separate man cave, you've got a separate arcade away from everybody else, then, you probably don't care about the headphone jack. But if this is in a room, maybe it's next to the bedroom or next to the baby's room or something, or the kid's room, and you're trying to be quiet, it's nice to have. So I don't know why that change was made. You would think that the PCB would damn near be the same thing. That's another thing. If the resolution is the same, if it's the aspect ratio, if the aspect ratio is the same, the PCB for a 19 and a 17 will work. They'll work on each other. So it's just got to be the correct aspect ratio. So once again, if it's already there, we haven't seen this PCB, maybe it is, but if it's already there, why not just include it? Are you trying to tell me that you redesigned the entire cabinet to give us a deluxe form factor, which is smaller, but you said, hey, it's too expensive to include the headphone jack? So now you're trying to pinch pennies? So you're working too hard to give us a form factor that we don't necessarily need. Just give us an XL. Just maintain your XL. Just say, hey, with new brighter screen, and then keep this feature that's already there. So I don't understand this. So we're removing features. We're going smaller. And like I said, the only plus to this is if you don't like XLs and you really want to stay with deluxes to keep your arcade looking the same, to keep it all, looking correct. And I'm not mad at you. I'm OCD about this stuff too. I get it. But to me, once again, if this is the year of pinching pennies, this doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you consider we've just lost a feature, a small feature, not a big feature. I get it. And it's probably a fair trade-off if you consider the fact that you're getting a better monitor, but the better monitor is also smaller. So, do they cancel each other out? I tend to think so. But you're losing more than you're really gaining. So form factor, size, matching everything else in your arcade, great. I get that. Fine. But I think if this is the year of pinching pennies, Arcade1up, if you wanted to make a financial decision that would have maybe made a ton of sense, that would have, would have made a lot of people happy, I think. And you don't call it a new XL. You just say, hey, the XLs that we are going to continue to produce will now come with new monitors. Now think about the life that you would breathe into these existing XL cabinets that you already have. Pac-Man is good to go. It's fine. But if you're going to say, hey, everybody, just so you know, those old pandemic relics, those 5.4 monitors, they are now gone. So once we sell out of current stock, we will have brand new 19-inch monitors in the current line of XL cabinets. And all you have to do is change the branding just a little bit on the box. Just a little bit. The bezels would have to change slightly. You don't have to redesign the cabinet to make it, one, smaller, and two, remove a feature that some people may actually like. The headphone jack is something that maybe a lot of people would like. It just depends on who your target audience is. So who you're trying to target? The people that only wanted this in 3/4 scale and are willing to pay more for less. I guess that if that's, it's a bold plan, Cotton. Let's see if it works. Poor Arcade1up. Just can't get a win, can they? Just can't get a win. But you know who can get a win? Me. I can get a win. Every once in a while, I can get a win. And what I mean by that is the covert secret operation that I was able to go on this week. So this was kind of fun. So I had some conversation with Unico a while back, month or two. Not for a long time. But, you have these conversations and you don't know if it's really going to happen. So we had talked about, hey, maybe we can get you out. Maybe you can take a look at one, beforehand, and so we don't know how this stuff's going to really happen. So I don't want to put it out there and then it doesn't happen and everybody's disappointed, including me, So I thought, well, let's not say anything. Let's just wait. So the Mission Impossible cassette tape showed up just out of the blue. It wasn't even by a mail carrier. It was just like taped to the front door. So I take it, I put it in the Mission Impossible tape player that I have sitting right here. It's not really here. I'm lying. But it's at 9:45 last Sunday after I got done with the show. I checked my messages and I saw that I got that message and say, hey, would you be available to come out next Saturday to check out Nova Blast? I said, well, let me check. Yes, I will be. I will make it out there. So made my reservations, got the flight. I knew it was going to be a quick one because I was on the road before and after that weekend. So it's going to have to be quick. Got it all laid out. Made sure we were good, and true to their word, Unico picked me up at the hotel, took me to the arcade there in Kansas City, and I was able to check it out. What did I think of it? Let's get started with what I actually encountered when I got there. So right off the bat, the way you're going to get if you've pre-ordered this, your Nova Blast cabinet is going to be a bar top that's fully assembled, and the base is going to come in a box. You have to assemble the base. So that's the first thing I had to do is assemble the base. Once we get it out of the cardboard box, this is how it was packaged. Styrofoam all the way around. And this is, I think this is actually upside down. We had to flip it over. But what you have is all the parts and all the pieces for the base is completely cradled in a big piece of styrofoam on the bottom with a thin piece of styrofoam on top. Cut off all the tape, open it up, and this is what you're going to be greeted with. Now, we've already taken the big parts out. This is all the parts underneath, all the bags with the individual covers and cups and hardware and brackets. So all this is going to be wrapped in this pretty thick pink plastic. But it was all thick. It was all there. And it also includes a tool. Now, this is an interesting thing. They kind of, and this is, I was there. I saw it. Sure enough, it actually comes with a tool. And it's a screwdriver that has like 4 different bits in it. And these are little hex head bits. So you don't have to fumble around with the standard Allen wrenches. They actually have a screwdriver with bits in it. So I prefer that personally, but you never know how, is that going to get you in tight corners and situations? You're going to be able to get that long screwdriver in there. We had no problem assembling it. So they've put some thought into this. So you got that. Now, when you take all your parts out of the base, here is what you're looking at. A lot of parts. You got all these side panels and back panels and top panels and all this stuff, bunches of hardware. And you can see you've got some feet. Those feet, I'm going to do a video next week, and I'll provide a lot more detail. Like I said, I'll have video footage and everything. Those feet are substantial. I mean, that's like that's 1/2 inch all thread rod. So the nut to go on there, you'd have to have a 3/4 inch wrench to tighten that son of a gun down. So you're talking about that's pretty substantial. That's pretty tough. So hold on. Neo Sarah is saying that the bar top isn't fully assembled. Either the control panel needs to be mounted to it along with the topper and marquee. Okay, that's good to know. I guarantee you it's put together more than what I had to do. I'll explain in just a minute about that. So that's important to note. You'll have a few, it's going to be more of a modular piece, I guess. You have the main body and then 3 things you have to put on. You'll have to have the marquee topper and then the control panel. So thank you for pointing that out, man. Good to know. So this is what you're looking at. Take a look at this. And like I said, I had to put this whole son of a gun together. Me and old school gamer Ryan Berger were on site. I'm glad he was there to help me out because there was a lot to do. But this is what you're starting out with. So, like I said, those feet. I know this is a funny thing to go, and you'll see it in the video. It's a funny thing. Even old school gamer was like, "Damn, those are more substantial than pinball machines. They are massive. They're huge." And I'll say right now, there's as you see these pictures and as we go through this, there is nothing cheap about this. This is not janky, it's just not. This is well thought out. But there's also no instructions. So while we were able to figure it all out, they didn't include any instructions in this prototype. I think this is like the latest and greatest prototype. It wasn't the final version, but it was pretty damn close. I'm not exactly sure what the differences will be, but this is pretty close. All these parts, now you see you have your 4 legs that are huge. You have 4 swivel casters that are lockable. So you can move the whole thing around, get it in position, lock it if you want to, and then you can run those big feet down and get it all stable. It's going to consist of obviously your sides, top, bottom, and then you're going to have these heavy brackets in each corner that will bolt everything together, and a single working coin door, a coin mech. So you got that. It even comes a little bucket. You can see a little bucket on the side to catch all your coins. Close-ups of the actual panels that you're bolting together. Okay, so if you've ever bought like a cheap, and I don't mean like, even Harbor Freight has some pretty good toolboxes. I'm talking about like the $150 Craftsman toolboxes that, Craftsman used to be a great name, and now they're just like kind of junk. If you bought like some super cheap, like toolbox from Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever, and everything's really thin, and you have to stab a bolt through 2 pieces of metal, and there's a nut on the backside, and you tighten it up. There are only threaded fasteners. There are no nuts. Everything, all the nuts are actually threaded inserts in the actual panels themselves. So you see you have these standoffs over on the right-hand side. That picture is, that's where the hinges bolt to the door, the swinging door. Those are metal standoffs with the threads cut in them. Look over to the left-hand side. I believe that is either the top. I think it's the top or the bottom. I can't remember. You can see all those round holes with a little ridge popping up. That is a threaded insert. So there's threaded inserts everywhere. The piece, I'm looking at the left-hand piece, right? That little weird rectangular hole there, that's where you put the little cups for your handles to pick it up. That is reinforced with a second plate. So you're already talking about some fairly thick metal. I mean, this ain't like plate metal, but this is thick. This is pretty thick metal. If I was to guess on a gauge, this is probably 14 gauge, I think. Don't take that to the bank. That's not what I was told, but it's definitely thicker. It's about 14 gauge. Excellent question here. Powder coated. This stuff is not painted. This is powder coated. So once these things are fabricated, they powder coat them. So anyway, the handles where you're going to actually pick the base up is reinforced with a second plate. So that's double the thickness. All these pieces fit together really, really well. I mean, it's kind of surprising how it all goes together. Like I said, if you've had experiences with putting together like cheap toolboxes, thin metal, it's real flimsy and floppy, that is not what you're going to deal with here. This tubing, this is probably 1 inch by 1 inch tubing. Maybe it's 3/4 by 3/4. It frames the whole bottom and the whole top. And so everything bolts to this. The brackets in the corners, if you can see right here. Okay, those things it's got a big hole in the middle. That's where the actual, the threaded portion of the feet will actually, extend up through there. It's got the 4 holes on the bottom, and then it's got a part that sticks up. It's like a corner bracket that bolts to the front and the back of the bottom plate, and then the single upright. So it's a pretty substantial, and that is thicker than the steel that's made up, that the cabinet's made up. So you're talking about, that's probably thicker. That's probably, I don't know, maybe it's not eighth inch would be too thick, but it's going to be thicker, right? So it's going to be thicker than your side panels. It's pretty stout. Now, another thing that is both good and bad is that all the fasteners are stainless steel. That's good, right? Yes, but I talk about Loctite all the time, but listen, with stainless fasteners going into non-stainless threads, you want to make sure that you put little anti-seize on each fastener. So AutoZone will have, you can get like a jar or even a small little tube of anti-seize. I recommend just putting a little dab on each fastener so that you don't, because those threads, what will happen is stainless is it's stainless, right? It won't rust, but it's a little softer than mild steel. So those threads will gald. So I tell you this because as you're putting this thing together and you're talking about a single panel or a bracket, you want to put all the screws in. Don't tighten them down yet. Put all the screws in. Once all the screws are in place and they've all got a little dab of anti-seize, then you can tighten them all down, snug it down. But don't snug anything down until all the bolts are actually in place. I didn't really have an issue with anything stripping out. You just want to proceed with caution. Some things that we were discussing with Unico, there were 2 main fastener sizes. So one was smaller and one was larger. So you need a different wrench, which they include. They include a set, like I said, they have a bit set of about 4 different bits. And it was a little bit time consuming to go back and forth. So we discussed, and they already have made the suggestion to manufacturing to reduce that down to fewer fastener sizes. I think the fastener sizes, you probably had 5 or 6 different fasteners, different types, sizes. So they're going to try to reduce that down, which will help a lot. But I didn't think it was horrible. If you had step-by-step instructions, you probably could have gotten it done a lot faster than me and Ryan for sure. But we had a lot of fun. Yeah, there you go. Anti-seize, little tube, it's $2, right? Just get a little thing of anti-seize. Trust me, it is insurance. You want to have Loctite when you're talking about mild steel, zinc-coated fasteners, but you definitely, if you're talking about stainless steel fasteners, which I'm glad they included it, but you definitely want to have some anti-seize for sure. Moving on. What is that? That's 4. So I got to update the slides. Boom. Okay. So the base gets put together and all that's fine. This is how I found my bar top. So the bar top, so the image on the left is the bare naked bar top. Now this is not the way you're going to receive yours. Like Nia was saying, is that you're going to have, if you look to the right-hand side, you're going to have modules, right? So your Nova Blast, the core, will be fully assembled. All the boards will be in place, everything will be in place. But you'll have to plug in your control panel, which is on the right-hand side there. And then the top portion, the marquee module, right? With the speakers and everything, that sits on top. But this was completely stripped bare because there was some damage to this unit. Now, I think, Neil Sarah, you are in the chat. And let's see. Yes. Monitor should be installed. All the main stuff should be installed in your main body. But if you could let us know in this era, it's my understanding your bar top is fine, was not damaged. So let me know in the comment section, yes or no, if that is the case. This unfortunately was damaged, and Unico didn't want to take any chances, so they stripped this thing completely just down to the bare bones and took it to a body shop, because remember, this is metal and it was bent up. You can kind of see on the bottom portion where some of the paint is scraped away. That's because took it to the body shop to have that completely corrected the right way, by an actual experienced body person. So they were able to fix that, and we were able to put it all together. But that's why you see it in this state, completely stripped bare. So when I say I had to put this thing together, me and Ryan, old school gamer, we had to put this thing together. I think I probably have more experience now. Ryan and I have more experience now, with the exception of maybe the people in China that are actually putting these damn things together, as far as putting all this together. But this was fun, interesting. How many screws do we need? What size? What is that? I don't know. What's next? And we had Unico there helping us, because they were the ones that actually took it apart. So they had pictures helping us out. But this was interesting. It was a team building exercise for sure. But it gave me a lot of great insight into how this thing is put together. And does it actually fit? Does it fit together well? And I can say that it does. It absolutely does. The way that this stuff goes together, all the standoffs. Remember, there's no bolt and nut going on here, right? There's standoffs for each individual PCB underneath. So you put them down and you put a screw into it, and away you go. They were all in the right place. Everything matched up well. And you're talking about a lot of different custom boards and stuff. So it's really important to get this right. You're going to see this crinkle finish on the control panel. That's just clear protective coating that we peeled off earlier. So that don't pay attention to that. That's not the way that looks. The little white rings around all the Sanwa buttons, those are also protective coating. We just peeled that off. So, hey, good to see you, Kong. B, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Okay, so moving on. What else did we see? So that was 5. Here is 6. So check this one out. Okay, so once we got this thing together, which took a long time, like I said, the video is going to come out next week sometime with a lot more detail, with some voiceovers, some more insight on what's going on. But I really just wanted to bring something to you. And bear in mind, guys, I was there yesterday. So I left first thing in the morning from Cincinnati yesterday morning, flew out there. I was only in KC for like 19 hours. Got there, did this, and then went to bed as soon as I could so I could get back up. I was up this morning at 3:30 again, and then flew home and then got all this together. So I just wanted to give you something to kind of give you something to chew on, and hopefully to put your mind at ease, maybe answer some of your questions. So once it was all together, the marquee looks sick. I mean, it's got a single LED on the back of it, and you can see the transparent portion there. And you got the speakers down below, but it looks really good. It looks really good. It could probably be a little bit brighter, in my opinion, but we can do with that. We can go in there and add another LED strip if you want, but yeah, I think it was adequate. I think it looked good, but I would probably want it a little bit. Me, I like a lot of lights. I want it bright, but it looks really good. And as we're putting this together, we're talking about all these different options. This is the U2. There's a U4 that has a bigger sort of if you're familiar with the candy cabs, this is supposed to simulate the Astro City, and then the U4 is for like the new Astro City. So you got the big speaker pods. I suggested maybe, since this is just a module, having another one that is more shaped like the Blast City, where it's really tall, a big monitor, like a big marquee in the middle, right? Like it's like double the size of that. So it'd be tall, it'd be elaborate, and maybe something like a module you could purchase later if you want to change up the look of your Nova Blast, which you absolutely could. This stuff is modular, and it's just a couple of plugs. That's really it. So I mean, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So I was happy with that. As far as what can you put in the back of this thing and be able to shut the door. Now the door, if you look at the picture on the left, the door is off right now. That's one of those, it's like a slim, it's not a mini, it's a slim tower. So imagine going to Best Buy 10 years ago and you would get a slim tower. It's basically a standard desktop tower that's just a little skinnier. And we laid it on its side and it fit in there perfect. So obviously a mini PC is going to fit in there really well. We were able later on, you'll see we put a CPS2 board in there. That's an A and B board put together. That was in there, fit without any issues or problems. So if you go get a mini PC, most consoles, all that's going to fit in there just fine. So it's a little tight. There's not an abundance of room, but there's no issues as far as cords kinking or anything like that. It fits in there really well. That black board you see, that comes stock. So everything is all the board, all the metal is populated underneath with all the little PCBs and everything. And then that black board sits on top. Everything has a metal tabbed shelf or angle iron shelf. So that will support, and it's melamine. So it's actual melamine coated. I think it's MDF, 1/2-inch MDF with melamine on both sides. So it's nice. It's not bad. Once again, metal fasteners all the way around. So there is that. The last slide. And here is the fully assembled piece in all of its glory. This is, there's no special filters or anything. That is the monitor tuned in correctly. And if you've seen my videos where I have the first generation Unico 26-inch, I had some issues with a little bit of brightness and all that. But this is got this. I think I had a question on one of my posts. This does have the new Unico monitor in it. The newest thing about this, besides the fact that now it has black bezels instead of the galvanized metal, the shiny silver, it's all black bezels with the exception of the actual mounting tab. So that's good. So that's going to help out a lot in mounting it in different positions. But it also has potentiometers for red, green, and blue right there on the board, so you can make those adjustments on the board. The problem with the Unico in the past was that the little board, the little control board that is plugged into the back, it has a lot of different adjustments you can make if you're talking about a VGA signal. But if you're talking about a standard arcade CGA signal, that old 4-prong connector, you need those potentiometers to make those adjustments. That is now on the actual 26-inch monitor itself. So no need to buy a different board. We were able to get this thing. I'm going to show you some gameplay in just a second. We were able to dial this thing in, and it just looks great. It's not super clean and crisp like a VGA signal would be because this is CGA. It's different. But all the colors were accurate. The blacks were black. The white wasn't all just overpowering and washing everything out. So it looked really good. But yeah, I wanted to show this. This is another cool thing they had. Now, the boards now are white. They have the PCBs are white, and they're populated a little bit differently. But he actually had, this was the original main JAMA board that they had developed for this project. So you can see what's going on here. You got the JAMA connection coming in, and then you have all their individual plugs from all their different devices in their control panel. So there's a lot going on here. Besides the fact that you got a $300 board. I'm sorry, not a board, a $300 monitor, it's 26-inch. You have these boards that have gone through different iterations, and this stuff costs money, right? But there's the original. That's the cabinet in all of its glory. It looks really good, but I mean, looks are one thing. How does it actually play? Well, here you go. Me, an old school gamer, jamming on a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom. Check this out. Let me back that up and start again. Here you go. This looks better than the old version, though. I couldn't adjust it to make it look this good on CGA. There's some extra processing inside the screen. Nice block. I knew what I was doing. America. America's beating up on girls. So it plays well. I enjoy it. It's really good. I know somebody just said something about ventilation. If you go back to this screen, you see those at the very top of the core unit in the middle. You're going to have these two big exhaust fans up top. So tons of ventilation on this thing. Depending on what you're going to be running, you might have a PC in there with its own fan blowing. I know the CPS2 board had its own fan running, so you're going to have plenty of ventilation to get this out. And the modular design is really cool. It gives you some flexibility. It gives Unico some flexibility to maybe improve this thing moving forward. But when you put all this together, and this is just my first impression, this is just my take. And we got Unico in the house. I better watch what I say. Thanks again for having me out, guys. I appreciate it. So my take on all this, you're considering purchasing a $1,200 if you get the bar top and the base, $1,200 plus shipping, depending on where you live. Could be $100, could be $200, who knows? Is it worth it? If you consider the fact that you're getting the newer version of the monitor, that you saw the picture, that was the picture with the CGA connection. That was no other additional boards needed, no VGA, nothing like that. It wasn't HDMI, nothing. That was just right off the JAMA connector. The JAMA connector connected to their PCB that takes that signal right up to the monitor. When you consider the newer version of the monitor, which we know retails for $300, all the custom PCBs, sandwalk controls, the speakers are really loud. You have the look of the actual candy cabs from back in the day. You have really, really good build quality. Nothing is perfect. I think the only flex I saw, and this is something to consider if you're thinking about just getting the bar top, the very bottom of the bar top itself had a little bit of flex. But I think but the flex was there because we didn't have the control panel attached. Once I got the control panel attached, the way they take this metal, it's not just metal on metal, right? They actually break these things. So what I mean by break is they'll take them, instead of just two flat pieces landing on each other and you got something that looks a little wonky, they'll actually break it the thickness of the metal and then continue on so that everything fits nice and flush. So once we put all that together, you had an overlap of metal on metal plus a fastener. It took a lot of that floppiness, that flexibility out. That was the only place on the entire cabinet I saw any flexing. Everything else is really stout, especially when you put it all together. The control panel itself it's stout, man. It's like it's thick. There's these big metal pieces on the inside that act as kind of a brace for the top and the bottom, and that's the only thing they do. They're just big, thick pieces, rectangular pieces of metal that have a slope at them, a slant cut into them, and they're just there for reinforcement and to brace all that up. It's definitely stout. Does it feel like a candy cab? Yes, it's weird. It feels, you walk up to it and it looks more like a skinny Vulex when you look at it from the side. But then when you sit down, you have that control panel shape that really, really reminds me of a candy cab. You're not going to get 100% candy cab feel because you don't have a bulbous, rounded fiberglass body. But it definitely scratches that itch for sure. So when you consider the build quality, when you consider the fact that this is going to be able to open it up, put it together, slap your board in, and you're ready to go. $1,200 is expensive. It is. But I think it's worth it. I absolutely think that it is. I think that you can rest assured you're going to get something that's solid. Like I said, it's powder coated. It's not painted. It's stainless steel fasteners. It's not just metal bolting to metal. You've got square tubing that reinforces every single corner. Every corner has heavy duty brackets that continue to reinforce it. It feels substantial without being incredibly heavy where you can't move this thing around. Things like the feet being so thick and like 1/2 inch all thread rod. The fact that you've got the casters that are swivel and lock, all four. And the way that this thing bolts together, the bottom, you'll see this in the video next week. If you've got the bar top, just the bar top, the bottom of the bar top has these embossed sort of rectangular oval shapes. And they've got these rubber feet on them. And there's let's say there's 12 or maybe 16, I think 3 rows of 4. When you sit this on top of the bar top, it's not just a flat surface. The actual bar top or the pedestal itself has reverse bosses. So it will be the female to the male of the actual rubber pads that are on the bar top. So when this whole thing sits together, it sort of finds itself and locks in. And then you have 5 screws that are probably, I think they're the thickest screws on there besides the screws that bolt in or you use for the casters. You have 5 screws that bolt the two together. So it really sandwiches that in there tight and really makes it solid. And then once I had it put together, I was shifting the whole thing around. I wasn't even using the casters. I was just sliding it on the feet, and it never budged, tweaked, nothing. So listen, you could probably say a lot of things about it. If you don't like the look of it, that's one thing. If you hate LCD monitors, I get that. But you can't say this thing isn't well built, and it's solid as hell. It's like a tank. So I think you can take that to the bank. I think, like I said, first impressions, it's really cool. There are going to be some additional things. We discussed this, Unico and I did, different things like kick harnesses, like the CPS2 game we were playing. I only had access to 3 of my buttons because I didn't have a kick harness installed. That's going to have to be a separate sort of JAMA harness, separate wiring connector they're going to have to come up with. I'm not sure what's going to be included in the box. I'm not sure what you're going to have to purchase separately. There's some questions that still need to be answered. This thing is going to ship. Your pre-orders will ship in April. So, next month. So stay tuned. Keep a close eye on your email inbox and find out when you're going to get these things. Also, if you considered Maybe you've heard about this old school gaming magazine. Well, Ryan was able to give me one of these, and this is issue number 38, January of 2024, and it feels like an old Nintendo Power. It feels like an old Game Informer, and there's a lot of cool just stuff in here. Flipping through and seeing cheat codes, is really cool. And having sponsors like Atari, you've got Stern that is sponsoring this. A lot of different writers from the community, and I saw this. Yeah, there's some stuff that I never even knew existed, like this complete NES collector's book. So just stuff like that. If you're interested in this, if you've ever thought about it, if you've heard about it, and you want to know more about it, let me share my screen with you for just 1 second. I thought he was so cool. He hung out with me. I mean, we were there all damn day. Got there like about noon maybe, and then we worked till we didn't stop. We put this whole thing together, messed around with it. We were there for 8 hours. Went and got something to eat, and then called it a day. But it was really cool. So I really wanted to give him a quick shout out. His magazine is here. It is oldschoolgamermagazine.com. If you're curious about like subscriptions and how that works, go to paid subscriptions. Come over here. Is it going to do it? Come on. There we go. You can get a digital subscription for $20 a year. So you get the digital versions of the magazines, which is cool. $20 is not bad. For $50 a year, you can get the print, which is actually these magazines here. And the digital for the US is going to be $50 a year. Canadian, my brothers and sisters north of the border, it's going to be $75 US. So there you go. There's that. And then the Digital Plus Lifetime, $100. And the membership never expires. And you're good digitally forever. So there you go. Just thought I'd give him a little bit of a plug because that's cool. And in this world of everything going digital, it's nice to have something kind of tangible and, maybe collect a new magazine every now and then. And it's definitely a nice magazine, guys. It does feel good. And there's a lot of good articles in here. And hey, look at that. Nova Blast. So that's, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know what you think about this in the chat for sure right now. There's many more questions. I will say there was one issue with the JAMA connector. Plugging it into the B board, the A board of the CPS2 was a little too thick, so we had to take apart the plexiglass housing for that. I'm not sure if that's the final model. So there may be some applications where plugging in that heavy duty JAMA connector may be an issue with your board. I think if you have a board that's not encased in a plastic casing, it's not going to be an issue at all. It'll be fine. It was just a little bit of an interference. But beyond that, I mean, it was pretty smooth. I wish I had more time with it. I wish I had more time to spend on, consoles and trying out different things, PCs, but we kind of ran out of time. And, that just gives us more to talk about when you get yours, when I get mine next month. Damn. Would you look at that? Where's the video? There it is.
What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
I know we got through a lot tonight. I hope I answered some of your questions. And for those of you that have a lot more questions, maybe you want to see some specific pictures, you can hit me up in the members only live stream. It is the after show. All my members are going to be redirected there. We're going to talk specifically about this. We can talk more. I answer your questions specifically, maybe reveal a little bit more, talk about some other stuff. If you want to be a part of that conversation, you got to join the channel, become a member. If you're watching this on PC right now, hit that join button and become a member. It's only $5 a month, and you get access to the after show, which happens every single week. This week has an after show. And then you also get notifications that the general public doesn't get. It's like a secret society that I'm telling you about publicly. But before we go, we got to talk about that poll question. 175 votes. The question was this: if Arcade1up made one of your top 10 arcade games, which version would you prefer to buy? Which version would you want? Would you want the deluxe for $5.99, or would you say, what the hell? I want the best. It's one of my top 10 games. Give me the XL at $6.99. I'm going to end this poll. It was closer than I thought. It really was. I thought one would run away with it, but with a whopping 58%, there we go. With a whopping 58%, kind of close. 58%, not quite 60. Could you get to 60%? 58% want XL. You're going to pay. Listen, if it's my favorite game, I want XL for $6.99. So maybe this conversation is a little more heated. Maybe it's a little bit closer than I thought, because I really thought that XL was just the way to go. Now, is that because people really just prefer deluxe, or do they think that, Arcade1up has given up on XL? And that, falls on Arcade1up, not the community. Anyway, members, stay right here. You're going to be redirected to the after show. Everybody else have a great week. Have a blessed day, and I will see all of you right back here next time. Peace.